neighborhood.
Think about those things before it's too late.
Canadian wildfires and the latest evacuations, and hazy, smoky skies in the United States.
How quickly our air and sky conditions can change during wildfire season.
It's great to see the northern lights, but trying to forecast when they can be seen is a tough task.
That energy could arrive to Earth in as little as maybe 14 hours or as long as 172 hours.
And find out why NASA is turning data they captured from space into musical notes and sounds.
Our ears are sensitive in ways that our eyes are not.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. It has been an active tornado season and it continued last night. At least 2 are dead as possible tornadoes struck Louisiana. Damage in communities of Lake Charles and Sulphur is substantial, taking a hit this gas station and a nearby Walmart. Roofs flew off buildings, scattering nearby. In many neighborhoods, homes were damaged and trees are blocking roads. And this is what the storm looked and sounded like as it passed through the region. Sheets of pounding rain reduced visibility to nearly zero. Strong winds toppled many trees. Teams for the National Weather Service will survey the area later today to confirm if damage was from a tornado or straight-line winds. Storms hit the San Antonio area early Monday morning south of the city in Poteet. Strong winds left homes and businesses with significant damage. This business owner said she started getting calls that something had happened to the roof of her business.
Getting phone calls, just lots of phone calls. And people telling me and texting me that, hey, you know what, the roof flew off and the trees. And I was like, okay, I'm thinking it's just probably like a part of a shingle or something. But if you go to the back, the whole roof in one piece.
Oh, wow.
In one. Flew off in one.
Many buildings sustained damage from that storm, including a tire shop that collapsed. And take a look at this video Monday at a golf course in southern Missouri. The possible tornado flipped golf carts and nearby airport lost power. Golfers on the course at the time said there was no tornado warning issued and no sirens were heard warning of danger. At the time, there was a severe thunderstorm warning, another reason why all severe weather warnings should be taken seriously. Another twister tore through the Oklahoma City suburb of Luther just before sunrise early Monday morning. The National Weather Service said it was an EF0 with top winds around 85 miles per hour. It wasn't on the ground very long, but did damage to one home. As tornado season continues, many are prepared for the worst when it comes to severe weather. Katie Arata looks at more.
Over 50 tornadoes have already torn through Oklahoma this year, some destroying homes and businesses, and even leaving people injured or dead. Despite that high number of twisters, experts say we're still not in the clear.
Tornado season in Oklahoma is January 1st all the way through December 31st. However, this is the peak, mid to late April, May into June. This is the time of year where we get round after round of storms.
Meteorologists with the National Weather Service say all Oklahomans should prepare for severe weather, even when it's not in the forecast.
If nothing's on radar, kind of think about your plan. If something were to happen, I would go to my storm shelter, my bathroom, indoor, wherever it is. Think about those things before it's too late.
The safest place you can be during severe weather is a tornado shelter, and many urge Oklahomans to get some sort of shelter in their home.
So there's never a good time to really prepare. If you have a chance to protect your family, put some type of tornado protection in your home.
Experts also recommend building an emergency kit that you can bring to your safe place with you.
We've got a place that we've got medicines, we've got some of the family pictures and some important documents. We've already thought about that. We have them in a safe place. We've got them in a bin. If we need to take those to shelter, we'll take those with us.
Other important items to have in your kit are flashlights, batteries, a weather radio, and a first aid kit.
According to the Storm Prediction Center, there have been more than 260 confirmed tornadoes in the U.S. since April 25th. It ranks 8th highest since records have been recorded. 39 of those tornadoes were rated EF2 or stronger. From year to date, there have been 15 deaths related to tornadoes, 9 in manufactured or mobile homes. Dozens of wildfires are once again burning in Canada, sending thick smoke into the sky over many northern states. Compared to last year, not as many fires are burning. However, at least one has led to evacuations. We'll take a closer look at the smoke situation in a moment. But we start with Yvette Brand in Fort Nelson, British Columbia.
We're getting ready for our sort of last stand, if that's what it comes to.
Fort Nelson Mayor Rob Fraser is trying to get the last 100 or so people out of town, with fire coming from 3 directions and the wind picking up again.
Fort Nelson's like a ghost town. It's almost like the day after you, and it's real weird. You know, you're the only one in that town.
Dwayne Lowe says he's among those staying to fight the fire.
I have no fear. We're going to save it. We are not afraid.
A 4-hour drive south in smoke-choked Fort St. John, evacuees wait and hope.
It's sad because what do people do? Like, if you're not prepared for it, what do you do?
These Fort Nelson teens bought fishing rods to kill time and cast away fears.
I don't know, it's worrying. Hopefully the town doesn't burn, you know. Hopefully it's still there. It's always be home, whatever. I never thought it'd be us, you know, until now.
In Fort Nelson, the mayor is not giving up yet.
You know, we're going to fight this right to the end, as long as the life of people and our firefighters is not being jeopardized. We're going to keep keeping on.
And this is a time lapse showing wildfire smoke drifting into northern Michigan on Monday. Montana, Minnesota, and Wisconsin were among other states with smoky skies and poor air quality. Green Bay meteorologist Phil DeCastro explains how smoke travels so far from where the actual fires are burning.
For the second May in a row, wildfire smoke from Canada is making its presence known here in northeast Wisconsin. Hazy skies greeted us to start the work week on Monday. The smoke came rushing in behind a cold front that kicked off some storms to close the weekend.
If it seems like the smoke kind of came out of nowhere, that's because it has been a very recent development. Now, through May 8th, which was last Wednesday, Canada's wildfire season had seen a very quiet start. Only about 16,000 hectares had burned so far, a fraction of the 10-year average of about 94,000. And it also pales in comparison to a similar time last year, which had already seen nearly 500,000 hectares burned. That was technically through May 10th. But just over the last couple of days, huge wildfires have erupted in parts of Canada. The largest ones have been in northeastern British Columbia. There have been a few other larger fires along the border between Alberta and Saskatchewan, and with winds coming in out of the northwest behind a cold front that passed through on Sunday, that transported that billowing smoke from those fires right down on into the western Great Lakes. Now, thankfully, this particular band of smoke is fairly narrow, so we're anticipating less smoky skies and less hazy skies as soon as Tuesday. But it was an abrupt reminder of how quickly our air and sky conditions can change during wildfire season.
It was a slightly above average year for snowfall over the Sierra Nevada. That's great news for dry valleys of California and Nevada. Meteorologist Matt Monroe explains.
We are way up high right here in the Sierra Nevada, the mountain range that, of course, straddles California and Nevada, and we had an above-average winter. A lot of the range got over 400 inches of snow, and a lot of that is still snowpack above 8,000 feet. You can see it right there. It is so wonderful because all of that will eventually melt into the streams and rivers like this one right here, and then eventually flow into the valleys where it's needed, into lakes and reservoirs, and used the entire year because things are real dry this time of year in both Nevada and California. So streams like this and mountain snow like that really helps things out a great deal and really aids in sustaining life.
Hundreds of starving brown pelicans have turned up along the California coastline. 2 weeks ago, workers began treating about a dozen pelicans. That number has jumped to 130 over the last few days. A spokesperson for the state's Department of Fish and Wildlife says it's unclear as to why this is happening. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll find out how NASA is turning data from space into sound and how scientists and meteorologists forecast the northern lights.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have a warm front moving through the Northeast early this morning. Behind that, temperature is going to warm appropriately back into the 80s and some upper 70s for parts of the area. Let's track this out together. Notice that back edge of that rainfall associated with the warm front is making its way off to the east around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock this morning. Look for developing sun. Northern New England could see a few thunderstorms. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some more showers re-enter the forecast on Wednesday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Tuesday starts out with plenty of cloud cover, a stray shower or two until around midday. Shower chances are just going to increase as the day rolls on. We'll see them become scattered to widespread through Tuesday evening, overnight, Tuesday night, and into Wednesday morning. The afternoon may have a brief break, but we'll see again good chances of rain coming late Wednesday. Tuesday afternoon, highs in the mid-70s. We'll be looking at cooler temperatures for your Wednesday afternoon in the 60s.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Look at your highs for this afternoon. Nice and toasty. We are going to see temperatures in the 70s in the northern part of our area, 80s closer to the Gulf of Mexico and along the Atlantic coastline in the Carolinas. And then we get into the 90s further south in Florida. Now this low pressure system is making its way across the southeast. With it, we do have two frontal boundaries. We have a warm front that actually formed from a stationary front that pushed across Florida.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A time-lapse look at a funnel cloud over northern Amarillo during dicey weather Sunday afternoon. It was close to touching the ground, but appears there was no contact. The storm clouds kept swirling after the funnel disappeared. Here's another time-lapse of a thunderstorm rolling ashore in Mobile Bay and bolts of lightning during a recent storm over Panama City, Florida.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday.
Over the weekend, there were some great views of the Northern Lights, and meteorologists and scientists were able to forecast the event well ahead of time. Andrew Buck-Michael explains why forecasting the Northern Lights can be a very difficult task.
First off, the sun flips its magnetic poles every 11 years. When it does that, it becomes more active. You get sunspots, you get solar flares, or these corona mass ejections. Think of it kind of like the sun sneezing. You get a quick burst of energy coming off of the sun. The National Weather Service has a space weather prediction center, and they try to predict when these waves of energy will reach the Earth. But keep in mind, the sun is 93 million miles away from us. So we can see when that sneeze or that burst of energy happens from the sun. But the tricky part is which direction is it going and how fast. It can travel as fast as 1,800 miles per second or as slow as 150 miles per second. The difference between those two, that energy could arrive to Earth in as little as maybe 14 hours or as long as 172 hours, which is about 7 days. But keep in mind, we don't have a lot of instruments out there in space. So for the first 92 million miles from the sun, there's no satellites. However, 1 million miles above the Earth's surface, we do have a satellite that can tell us how strong that wave of energy is about to be. It's called Lagrange point number 1, and it is the perfect position in the gravitational field between the sun and the Earth, where it will always stay right there between both of those. But it's only about 1 million miles ahead of us. So that means that we only get about a 20 to 40 minute heads up of how much energy is about to impact us here on Earth. Let's do another example. Let's say someone's traveling across the country to come visit you. You know what time they left, you know approximately how fast they're going to go. But you don't really know exactly when they're going to be on your doorstep until maybe 20 minutes out they call and give you a heads up of, hey, I'm right around the corner, I'll be there shortly. So since the sun is on these 11-year cycles, that means we're heading into the next few years being pretty active where you might see this happen a little bit more often. Now, keep in mind there's a lot of variables that go into it, but We're going to pass along the information as we get it, so hopefully you can check out those northern lights again.
So get this, NASA is producing sonifications of astronomical data in space. They use the data captured by telescopes, translate it into musical notes and sounds. This makes studying these objects in space more inclusive to the blind and visually impaired communities. But that's not the only reason for the project. Emily Gracie has more.
Time you looked up at the night sky. The blackness of space adorned with the glittering radiance of countless stars. Peering into a telescope, you see distant planets, faraway galaxies. Now, imagine if rather than taking that in with your eyes, you were using your ears. What would a black hole sound like? What about Saturn's rings? What if these sounds were the only way you could understand what was going on in space?
Our ears are sensitive in ways that our eyes are not. You can hear changes. You can hear small changes in your data. You can process through large data over time. There's all these different ways for you to understand data through sound.
Sonifications allow the audience, including blind and visually impaired communities, to listen to astronomical images and explore their data.
What we're doing is we're just taking that process of translation and moving it one step further. So instead of just an image, we're taking the image and then mathematically mapping it to sound.
Dr. Kimberly Arcand and her team from the Chandra X-ray Observatory created dozens of sonifications giving voice to celestial objects from across the universe.
One of the most scientifically important images I've ever gotten to work on, it's called the Chandra Deep Field South. And what Chandra found in this, kind of normal patch of the sky was thousands and thousands of black holes. And so as you're going through it, you're hearing this beautiful sort of scene of young, massive black holes, and you feel like you're in it. The sonification, I think, communicates some of the excitement to it a little bit better than the image itself does alone, which I love.
Their goal? To reach new audiences and create new experiences.
Sound, music tends to be very sticky in your minds, right? Like you can get a song stuck in your mind for quite a long time, right? And it has a very different quality in your brain than just an image has.
A tool for research, communication, and storytelling.
It's a beautiful universe out there, and I hope we can all discover it.
If you're interested in hearing more about sonification, make sure you check out our podcast, Off the Radar. This week's episode, all the sounds of the universe, including what the sonification of an eclipse sounds like. Find Off the Radar anywhere you find your local podcasts. When it comes to knowing about incoming storms, your local meteorologist is often the best place to turn. Sometimes clouds can also give you a hint as to what's to come. Meteorologist Teresa Carter explains shelf clouds and what you can expect when you see them.
We see a lot of these during severe weather season. This is a shelf cloud. They are often seen at the leading edge of thunderstorms where the most intense weather is occurring. They are associated with strong thunderstorms producing strong winds. As the shelf cloud passes over you, you'll notice a big drop in temperature and the winds pick up as the gust front moves through, followed by rain and hail. So how do they form? As rain-cooled air pushes downward out of the thunderstorm, known as a downdraft, warm air is lifted upward out ahead of the storms to replace that cooler air. When that warm air rises, it condenses and forms what we often see as a shelf cloud.
Now we check out weather across the country today. First, we begin in the Motor City, Detroit, with a look at the still under construction Hudson Tower. It soars about 700 feet into the sky and will become the new headquarters of General Motors, along with a luxury 5-star hotel. Skies are cloudy today with highs that will be in the 70s. Next, we head to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Plan for pockets of moderate to heavy rain today and a chance for localized flooding. Highs will be in the 60s. This is a building in Flagstaff, Arizona. Clouds will increase today with highs nearing 70 degrees. And now to the north, northern Alberta, Canada, where you can see haze from the wildfires that continue to burn. We talked about them earlier. Clouds and smoke will increase with temperatures in the 70s later this afternoon. And before we head to break, we head over to Maine and its beautiful coastline.
Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. We've got scattered showers and thunderstorms across the Midwest, especially across the Ohio Valley for the day today. Although the chance of severe weather not looking too high for us, which is good news. Just some run-of-the-mill showers and storms for most of the Midwest for Wednesday. Everything starts shifting a little bit farther to the east. The rain coming in from the west, also the Ohio Valley rain. By the time that we get to Thursday, it continues to shift to the east for us, and temperatures running fairly warm.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. Look at your forecast across the region, and not a bad day. Much quieter across the region today. 50s to start off the day from Amarillo to Oklahoma City. 60s and low 70s elsewhere. It will be partly to mostly sunny across the region this afternoon. Can't rule out a stray pop-up storm across portions of West Texas from Del Rio up towards the Abilene area. Otherwise, pretty quiet. We'll watch for a few showers overnight, and then as we head into your Wednesday, quiet with temperatures in the 60s to low 70s in the morning.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Above normal temperatures in the Pacific Northwest as we warm up, but as soon as you get a little farther inland to the Intermountain Northwest, this is where we're seeing the temperatures remain cool with a lot of showers and thunderstorms from a front that's pushing through. That cooler air coming in behind the front will really instigate quite a bit of mountain snow showers in Montana and Wyoming, but especially across the desert Southwest. Plenty of afternoon showers. That's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Have you ever heard of a wake low? Evan Chikvera has more.
Well, different from a synoptic low that's over a very large area, wake low is created on a much smaller scale and as a result of rain that has moved through. So initially you've got your rain and your line of thunderstorms out ahead, your warmer air, your lower pressure. On the other side, you have your higher pressure, relatively speaking. These are two very small features associated with a band of showers and or thunderstorms. But then as we dry out, you get another area of lower pressure that is also moving behind that smaller high. So this all happens on a very, very small scale. But as this low develops, that drier air warms and you eventually get these stronger pressure gradient winds. Remember, when you have two features close to each other, highs and lows, you'll get what's known as pressure gradient winds. As that rain moved through parts of the Birmingham metro, we developed this wake low, as it's called, because it's in the wake of a band of storms or showers, and that strong pressure difference leads to winds. We had wind gusts of 35 to 40 miles an hour at the airport. These typically don't do much damage, but they can be hard to detect.
And thank you so much for looking in this morning. I'm glad you were able to join me. I'm meteorologist Steve Rudin from WJLA in Washington, D.C. Angela Brown will be here tomorrow. Good day.